बदले ये धरती आकाश। इस तन में हम प्राण धरे हैं बाबा तेरे ही खातिर। इस तन में हम प्राण धरे हैं बाबा तेरे ही खातिर। जग में पुराने ठहरे हैं हम, जग परिवर्तन की खातिर। सेवा के शुभ संकल्पों से सजे हुए हैं हर एक तार। बने फरिश्ता उड़ते आए बाबा अब तेरे ही पार। करके तपस्या बाबा तुम सा बदलेंगे धरती आकाश। प्यारे बाबा तेरी तपस्या प्रेरित करती है हमको। प्यारे बाबा तेरी तपस्या प्रेरित करती है हमको। सुख शांति आनंद लुटाए तुम चाहे हम भी सबको। तुमसे प्यार बहुत हमको है, पूरी करेंगे तेरी आश। तुमसे प्यार बहुत हमको है, पूरी करेंगे तेरी आश। बने फरिश्ता उड़ते आए बाबा अब तेरे ही पास। करके तपस्या बाबा तुम सा बदलेंगे धरती आकाश। कर्म योग के योगी हम हैं, अनासक्त वृत्ति वाले। कर्म योग के योगी हम हैं, अनासक्त वृत्ति वाले। सुखमय सृष्टि बनाएंगे अब हम शीतल दृष्टि वाले। सदा सफलता साथ हमारे मन में है पूरा विश्वास। बने फरिश्ता उड़ते आए बाबा अब तेरे ही पास। करके तपस्या बाबा तुम सा बदलेंगे धरती आकाश। बने फरिश्ता उड़ते आए बाबा अब तेरे ही पास। करके तपस्या बदले ये धरती आकाश, बदले ये धरती आकाश, बदले ये धरती आकाश।
Om Shanti, Sister Jayanti, and Om Shanti, everyone. So today is 22nd of Jan, and on 21st of January 1969, in that Murli, Baba said that all other supports will go, will break away. All other supports will not be there. But the three supports that will remain will be Baba and the gathering, so the family, the gathering. And thirdly, the support of the principles of the family, the disciplines of the family. So Baba said that these three supports have to be with us all the time. And then during the 1969 Murlis, Baba said that now that Baba has become Avyakt, there will be one major Maya that will erupt. Because up until that time, we knew that it was Baba doing everything. And now Baba's become Avyakt. And so Baba said the arrogance of your intellect will emerge, and this feeling that now I am doing the seva. And so Baba then said, have this consciousness that I am an instrument. And Baba said, if there isn't this sense of consciousness of instrument, then there will be these three words that Baba rhymed. And that is Magruri, the ego will come up, Murjaish, which is wilting, and third is Mayusi, which is sadness. So Baba left us with very strong teachings even as he left. Thank you, Sister Jayanti.
Om Shanti to Aruna Ben and to everyone who's joined us. We had three amazing Murlis. We had the Murli of the 18th Sakar and Avyakt. Then we had the Murli of the 18th evening. And then we had the Murli of the 19th morning. And so it was a lot of treasures that Baba was filling us with. But let's explore the Murli of the 18th afternoon, because that is the one which Baba said is the memorial of the 40 years. It was at that time 40 years since Baba had become Avyakt. And so I'll take up the detail of that in just a minute. But it seems that Baba's companions for service were the ones who had been invited to Madhuban for this particular session. And so they were there in front of Baba. And so Baba was pouring out a lot of love for his companions and service. And Baba mentioned that there were three types of garlands the children had garlanded him with since the early morning. And I'm sure that you also would have had not just 4 o'clock meditation, but a time earlier than 4. Here in London also, we started at 3. And then the main gathering was, of course, at 4 o'clock. But 3 o'clock, we gathered in Baba's room. And what Baba was seeing was the first one, the garlands of love. It's a day of love, of memories emerging. And so the first one was the garlands of love. The second one, and it's a beautiful reminder of how Baba appreciates those gopis who are in bondage, because for the sake of purity, they have to tolerate so much. And out of love for Baba and Baba's instructions, they still continue on the path. So Baba said he was receiving their garlands also. But these garlands were very special. They were garlands in which it was actually the tears of love that these gopis were shedding because of the separation from Baba. They couldn't come to meet Baba. And within that, the teardrops were like pearls, extremely valuable for Baba. And the third, very interesting, the garland of complaints. Now, I'm sure we all come into the first category and not the third. But it's interesting that God also receives complaints. We know that people out there, when things happen that they can't deal with, or they don't understand why those things are happening, they have very strong complaints against God. But Baba's talking to Brahmins, and Baba was telling them that, yes, the third garland was that of complaints. So it made me realize that if I'm receiving complaints, yes, I do have to check and change. But so often the complaints are coming because the individual has that complaint. And so maybe it's not my fault, but let me accept it gracefully, like God accepts complaints like a garland gracefully. And so can I learn to accept complaints gracefully also? And then Baba said, it's the day of love. And when there's love, everything becomes very easy. Mohabbat, mehnat. Mohabbat, love. And the love makes the effort seem effortless. Things happen without feeling any tiredness or labor. So either it's labor or it's love. And Baba wants to see his children move along with that love. Why? Because when there's love, every obstacle seems to be very easily removed. When there's love, even a problem as big as a mountain is reduced to just a little mustard seed or even cotton wool. And this time Baba even said, just as light as water, here's a mountain solid. And Baba's saying, it becomes so light, like water, and it'll flow past, it'll flow away. And so love is that power which protects you. It's the canopy of protection that keeps you safe. Love is that power that makes God become your friend. And if God is my friend, he makes everything very easy for me. God tells us that, yes, knowledge is the thing that he loves, but and all the children in front of him, they have the sparkle of love on their faces and they are Jnani Atmas, Jnani souls. But yet, today was a day of love, and so Baba was emphasizing the whole aspect of love and how when Gyan is the seed, it's the water of love that allows the fruits, the attainments to be experienced, which is the reality. If I have love for Baba and I can feel Baba's love for me, then I have all attainments. In Gyan, I have the theory and I understand, but love, it then becomes the reality of the attainments in my life. When there's love, then the Lord and Master, Bap and Dada, both become present in front of me and are available for everything that I need. And so Baba reminding us of the power of love, especially on the day of remembrance, the day of great love. And then Baba said, yes, of course, there's love. And through the day, you've been reinforcing your promise to Baba that you'll become equal to the Father. Bab Saman, you will become like the Father. And you reminded yourself of this promise many times. And yes, within the children, Baba's seeing that maybe 75% of the children are actually showing the results of this, and that's very good result, 75% of the gathering. And then this is because through that love, they've been able to attain success and their own determination also. But another factor, when obstacles come, when storms come, again, Baba was rhyming the words tufan and tufa. When the storms come, do they stop you in your tracks, or do you see them as a gift to be able to move forward? Tufan, storm, tufa, gift. And so do I take it as a chance to progress further and learn something that I need to from that particular situation so that I'm able to move forward? And so, beautiful expression of how to deal with obstacles. Ask yourself the question, well, what is this obstacle teaching me? What am I going to learn from it? And if I can learn from it, then yes, there's going to be success. I'm going to find the solution and I'm going to be able to move forward. So it's left me with a gift. It isn't that it took anything from me, but rather the storm, the obstacle brought a gift for me. And then Baba played around a great deal with this 40 years. The zero and the hero. You are those souls who are the hero actors, but the basis of that is being the zero. The most important aspect is right from the beginning, focus on the zero, the point. And so, of course, the soul, the point, God, the point, drama, the point, all of these different aspects, but the zero. And hero, of course, is not just the main actor, but in Hindi, the diamond. And so you, the zero, are playing a hero role and becoming a hero, becoming a diamond. And the four, very interesting how Baba took that up. Let there be nothing but good wishes and pure feelings and good thoughts for everyone. And everyone means all the souls of the world. It includes nature, matter. It includes the Brahmin family. And so if you see somebody make a mistake or out of weakness do something which is not as it should be, don't be upset by it. Don't have bad feelings for them. Don't hate them. Don't curse them. Don't have any bad wishes for them whatsoever. But rather, take it as an opportunity to express your support and love and cooperation for them. Be the donor, be the merciful one, be the benefactor, so that you are able to help them move forward. If somebody is down, you don't push them down further, but you give them a hand to help them come up on their feet again. And so the first one, good wishes for all. And the second one, you've heard these words several times already this year, but Shubh Chintak, good wishes for others, and Shubh Chintan, generally the translation we have for this is pure thoughts. It's an accurate translation. But Baba's interpretation of this time was pure thoughts for the self. Very categorical. Remember who you are. Remember you are the child of God. Remember you are the self-transformer. And through that you will become the world transformer. And so play around with those titles that God has given. And as you remember the titles that God has given you, your attitude will change. And so the third aspect was pure attitude. And attitude is subtle. Only I know what it is. And if there's something happening with an individual that's not quite right, can I check? Or is there something in my attitude that's creating this challenge? Because relationships of love, Baba's children, one family, the loving family, respect and regard, and everything is fine. But if there's something in my attitude, very subtle, maybe my ego, maybe thinking, well, I'm better than them. Maybe it's my greed in the sense that their position is something I want, whatever it is. So all these subtle things in our attitude make the atmosphere unclean. And so what we have to do is to change our attitude, then the atmosphere will change also. Don't try and wait for somebody else to change and say, well, when they change, then I will do this. Or if this happens, then I can do this. That's a business arrangement. It's not God's child. It's not one of being the benefactor or being able to give. And so let me be the one remembering my titles, remembering my own stage of self-respect. Who am I? And what I need to do, rather than thinking about what they need to do and how they should change. And with this attitude, the titles give me the power, the pure thinking. And then the attitude changes, in which now I know that I have to be the one who changes, but also I have to be the one who reaches out and is able to help support and bring about change. Within the atmosphere, my impure attitude is going to create an unclean atmosphere. And so when I change my attitude, then I'll see a change in the atmosphere also. Baba says how if there's a bad odor, nowadays you have sprays and you bring in a room spray and you spray the room with that and it changes the odor completely and makes it into a very pleasant scent. And so one individual, and there's an impure attitude and it's beginning to pollute the atmosphere. Well, can I be careful of what I'm doing? I maintain my own inner stage of pure thoughts, of self-respect, awareness of my own titles. Then in that awareness, what I'll do is have a clean attitude of support and help. And that will change the atmosphere completely. Many of you would have seen the daddies do this. There's been somebody who's done something and there's a bit of chewing about it, so-and-so, 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 all these things are going on. And one of the daddies comes in, could be any one of the daddies, but we saw Daddy Prakash Mani do it, we saw Daddy Janki do it. They would come in and at a stroke, one sentence, and the whole atmosphere would change. And so not only for them, their attitude, of course, the pure, powerful attitude, but together with that, it was also this awareness of how it is that they are responsible and can change the atmosphere. But now Baba was telling us, all of us carry that responsibility. You can't say I'm too young. You can't say I'm too new. But whatever position you're in, young or old, long-term in Gyan, short-term in Gyan, new in Gyan, I have a responsibility for the atmosphere. And so if I keep pure thoughts and vision for everyone, pure thoughts and that vision for myself, a pure attitude, then the fourth thing, yes, I'm going to be able to change the atmosphere and make it one in which there's only positivity and high energy level. And so a very beautiful expression that Baba used, that you have to be the self-transformer, and then you can be the world transformer, and then truly there are no problems. Everybody in the world at the moment is afraid. They're asking the question, what's going to happen next? And Murli is from 40 years ago. No, 20 years ago. That's right. But now, Baba's Murli, really the one in which we are seeing that the world today is very, very afraid, and many, many questions about, well, what's next? And you children know what's next. You know that you have to be able to transform yourselves. There will be challenges, there will be battles, but you have to make sure that you don't let go of your determination. It's your determination that's going to keep you moving in the right track. And with your determination and power, you can be a support and a helper for many others also. And so you know what the future is. So you're the protectors of others. And so you keep your stage very positive so that nothing is a problem for you. With Baba's help, with your own determination, that's going to be possible. And yes, this is what will emerge, and you will be able to move in that way. And so, a very beautiful Murli, reminding us of who we are. But I loved this particular phrase of how Baba put Shubh Chintan is actually pure thoughts, good wishes, loving thoughts for the self. And in the first part of the Murli, actually, Baba used another lovely expression. Baba said, Baba put his hand in the child's hand, Dadiji, and with her, Baba handed over the will of all the powers to all the Shaktis and Pandavas. And so that was a very beautiful expression that Dadi was the instrument, but he was also actually willing all the powers to all of us, all the Pandavas and Shaktis, the full army, to be able to continue with that task. So 18th January Murlis are usually always very, very loving. But in this case, and usually also, out of love, Baba wants us to become perfect. And so Baba encourages us, cajoles us, advises us, and pulls us with his magnetism to a higher stage so that truly we can be the ones who are equal to the Father. So let me keep that aim, and with that aim, that determination, be able to achieve that. Another lovely expression Baba used was, through the day, you have at least 10, 11, 12, 13 chances in which you can remind yourself. Very, very busy, true, but traffic control is one way, but I might be in a position where traffic control or even any type of signal is just impossible. But through the day, to remind myself of what it is I need to do to bring about transformation, so that I can not just become like Baba, but also, like Baba, serve the world and be a world transformer also. I feel that we're very much at the edge, that it's just a little step further to come to that stage where really we can demonstrate to the world that we have transformed ourselves, and truly we can transform the world together. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Jayanti. So lovely to hear you, as always, and I mean it. If we go back to the 18th Jan Murli, then in that Baba said that you must not see their weakness, but you must definitely give them cooperation. This is known as having pure and positive thoughts for others. So could you elaborate how we might give cooperation?
Here's somebody who is a little bit disorganized, and I'm complaining about how disorganized they are. Well, instead of complaining about their lack of organization, can I find somebody else who can help them in the task and get them to be able to support them in being able to organize? They have many talents and skills, so we don't want to say, stop, leave, nothing like that. But can there be an addition, support I can provide? Maybe not myself, but maybe somebody else who can help them, when it's the particularly busy time or preparation time, and it's not just in one place in the kitchen. The office needs organization, the kitchen needs organization, the teaching rota needs organization, everything needs that. And this person is particularly kind, particularly generous, can do many things, but they're not as skilled as others in organizing things. So don't remove them from the job or the task, but provide help that can support them, and the task will become that much easier.
Yeah, thank you. And also in the 18th Murli, there was that whole section where Baba said that you have to look at your garden. And Baba said those who are the instruments have to think about which aspect their garden is weak in. In whatever way possible, you have to look at the weaknesses of your garden with a strict eye. Make time to finish any weaknesses. Could you explain that?
If I'm seeing that the class that I'm responsible for or the country that I'm responsible for is good in creativity, but isn't giving proper attention and time to self-progress, can I make them gently aware of this? Yes, service is, of course, the breath of Brahman life and is important, but service can't be fruitful and successful unless there's time given to the self. So can I help them understand that that is important? And even within that, can I make them aware that the most important subject is yoga? And so can they have more attention on that particular subject? So there's all of these different aspects of this, but I really feel that if I'm keeping a close eye on what's going on within my area of responsibility, I'll be able to see what it is that needs extra attention and help souls move with that.
Right. So I like what you said earlier in one of these revisions where you said we don't kick another, not to kick another person means not to get angry at them, not to get mad at their weakness. I really like that because it keeps us in at least that positive state to be able to help that soul. Otherwise, it's two negatives. They're doing something wrong, and then you are also in a not a good state. So that doesn't help the atmosphere. So yeah, I like the way Baba put all of that. So gentlemen, in today's Murli, Baba said that serviceable children will receive their reward. So somebody's question is, well, what kind of service? Is it that you could be sitting somewhere doing Mansa Seva and then there is some reward? Or is it literally running around, going out and setting up museums and explaining or giving a number of courses? So what does Baba mean by that, if you could clarify that?
Baba always talks about 3 levels of service: your thoughts, your words, and your actions. So it's not one or the other, because truly, if you see souls like Dadi Janki, I keep quoting her because she's the one I lived most closely with, but Dadi Kamarko also, always that pure thought, pure desire to help others move forward. So Mansa Seva, even on a very personal, individual level, that many of those on the webcast have experienced themselves, but also generally for the world, being able to send out that pure light and might to the world. You know that picture of the yogi in bliss? Well, that was an artist, a person who wasn't an artist, but became an artist by being in Tennyson Road. Baba's picture was in the corner so that everybody would have the translite. The first Madhuban translite came to London when they got a new one. And Dadi would sit on the floor. Those days it was no chairs, just the floor. She would sit on the floor for an hour absolutely motionless. And so you can see how this brother who was sitting at the back of the room was just seeing her figure from the back, but it was like it was a vision he had, raised from God, coming to her and being sent out into the world. So Mansa Seva on many levels. And then we all saw how much time she gave in talking to people, conducting classes. So the Vacha Seva, the words were there. And third, she never just gave classes. She was also into cooking. She was also into planning and organization and arranging things and going on tours and tirelessly moving from morning through to night. So it was all aspects of service. If there's one particular aspect that's missing, then it's taking something away from my character development. It has to be an all-round, perfectly rounded personality, literally 360 degrees. And so when they say Sola Kala Sampuran, for Krishna, 16 celestial degrees complete, they're talking about the full circle of all the virtues, 360 degrees. And so serviceable in Baba's language really means that. Brahma Baba the same. It was never just either talking or sitting in yoga, but Baba would go to the site where the construction was happening, give directions. Baba must have been an engineer in his past birth for sure, and so he was giving instructions for instructions for all the construction that was happening at that time. So the history hall was built, the places where Shashi's office that was built, Hawaii Mel was built, aeroplane was built, all under Baba's supervision. Chandras Bhai was his contractor, and he dealt with the laborers, and there were no other professionals, Brahma Baba. And so actual physical work, Baba would go into the kitchen and check things out. Is there enough salt? Is there enough of this? Is there enough of that? So serviceable really means that you're engaged in some type of service or another. And like in this Murli today, also Baba said, keep your mind free from anything wasteful. And today Baba's solution was think of your titles and stay in the self-respect of those titles, and also keep your mind engaged in what would be good for the yajna. And so Baba constantly concerned about benefit for all, benefit for the yajna. So serviceable really takes in all three categories.
Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit of a devil's advocate. There are some souls who say, well, I'm too busy for that. And that could be service they don't like, they want to avoid, or they feel it's not at their prestige level. They'd rather do more teaching, because actually in Bharat, this is the main seva, is you go and teach and you're on the stage and then you're a teacher and you have this big badge. So yeah, gentlemen, there is that. So what would you say to such people? I get you, you're saying have an all-round personality, but it has to touch the soul, right?
Everything about Gyan has to touch me. Baba spoke about, realization, and through the realization, bringing about change. So revising and realizing, Baba put those two words to get together in the Murli we discussed earlier. So yes, I have to really, you see, if I'm hearing something, it'll trigger some thoughts, but it won't trigger change. But if it's triggered some thoughts and I'm reflecting on it and I take it on board for myself, that's when the change actually happens. Otherwise, it's just words that I've heard and I can forget. But if it's registered with me and it keeps coming back into my consciousness, then that's going to bring about transformation. And so what is it that Baba wants for me? Do I really want to be Bab Saman? Do I want to follow in the Father's footsteps? Why am I here? Why is it that I've left the world of Kali Yuga behind? So these are questions for self-exploration. What is my purpose? Why am I here? What is meant by all of this? And this is where number wise, according to effort, comes in. And Baba's explained everything. Now it's up to me to see what it is I want to do for myself. Nobody else can do it for me.
Yes, I remember the days when Dadi would say to you, you go and teach, and she will make the dinner. And there she was, stirring the pot and cutting the veggies, and yeah.
That's right.
You're never too old and you're never too senior to be doing something like that. Yeah. So actually, you mentioned thoughts, words, and deeds. So somebody had a question. So Baba talks about being incorporeal in thoughts and viceless in words and egoless in actions. So what is your take on incorporeal in thoughts?
What is my consciousness? I am this, or is it I am this? The more I maintain my awareness here, my thoughts are going to be pure, they're going to be elevated, they're going to be positive, they're going to be helpful for others. Where I forget this, I come here, what's the quality of my thinking then? Then it's comparison. This one's getting this much. Why am I not getting this much? It's competition. It's all of those things. And so incorporeal in my mind means basically soul consciousness.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So somebody else had this question, where is the line between taking inspiration from others and comparing? For example, we could take inspiration from Sister Jayanti and try to become as tireless as she is. And that would certainly help in expanding our limitations. But if we deny our capacity, we could find ourselves getting drained. So in that comparing, yeah.
I think the starting point for all spiritual effort is soul consciousness. And in that awareness of the soul, I begin to see what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses. And yes, my strength is that I'm taking inspiration, but my weakness may be that I'm not looking at myself sufficiently to see, well, what can I manage? How can I do it? And today somebody is young, tomorrow they won't be as young as they were. What they could do yesterday, they can't do today. So they can't even compare themselves with what they were doing 10 years ago. If I said, well, 10 years ago, I used to be able to do this. Can I do it now? Why can't I do it now? Then that's my fault. And so really, soul consciousness is that effort in which you're able to discern what are your parameters. Where is it that you can move, and where is it you have to say, okay, enough is enough. So I think that it's not a line that somebody else draws for you, but it's you and your stage of soul consciousness and being able to see, yes, I want to become like the Father, never mind anybody else. I want to become like the Father, but maybe I don't have that sort of capacity yet to be able to rise at 2 o'clock in the morning and sing songs of love to God. Maybe I still need to keep it just a little bit less than that. Or maybe I do need to take a break in the afternoon. So on all levels, whether it's being tireless in service or what service it is I do, I can do the best that I can and no more than that. So I think there has to be a state, and Baba says, are you content with yourself? If I'm content with myself, it's because I see, yes, I'm doing the best that I can. I can't do more than this at this moment. The door's open, and maybe tomorrow and the day after things will change and I can do something differently. I can do something more. But at this moment, I'm content because I know that I'm not wasting my time. I'm using my breath. I'm using my energy, the gifts that God has given me in the best way possible.
Mm. Thank you, Sister Jayanti. There's a question that's come up connected with the serviceable children. Maybe I'll just take it now. So the question is that Baba said that these serviceable children will think of becoming princes and building their palaces. Others will claim a low status. So there are serviceable children, because the serviceable child is asking, but she never thinks like that. So how does that match? This person is serviceable, but they're not thinking of building their palaces.
I think that Brahma Baba, when he would have said this, was at that stage when these Sakar Murlis that we're hearing from 1968, the last year of Baba Sakar. Baba has done all the service he needs to do. He's prepared all the instruments who are ready to take on the mantle of leadership for the yajna. And now Baba has time to just dance like a little baby Krishna, which is how Baba Daddy saw him standing in the history hall, and he was dancing alone. And he said, I'm going to become Krishna soon. So Krishna was in front of his eyes. Lakshmi Narayan, the image of the translight just to his side, was always in front of his eyes. So he was already in a different dimension. The world of Satyug and seeing the trees of Satyug were there in front of him. He was already there in a sense. You know, there's somebody who used this expression, a woman astrologer or something, that she was at the Kumbh Mela. The Kumbh Mela is going on. And she's been interviewed by somebody, and she talks about the end of Kali Yuga, and she talks about Satyug coming. And he says, well, I don't see Satyug coming. And she says, Satyug is already in the Brahmand. And what she means by that is, it's already in our vision for us. Brahmand is Paramdham, so there's just silence there. But it's already there within our awareness, within our consciousness. Now, if I'm thinking about day-to-day service and doing all the things I need to do, I'm not going to be thinking about Satyug and what sort of palaces I'm going to have there. But as time goes on and my stage becomes further and further, closer and closer to Baba, I've done all the things I need to do on this level. And now I can spend time contemplating what will my palace be like. So I think it's age and stage and what it is I've used my time and energy in.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, like to be a bit ethereal and forward thinking. And yeah, I kind of get it now that it may not be, yeah, it may not be typically this Vishnu with all the ornaments, but some kind of pull to that perfection. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. You're brilliant.
It's Baba's Murlis that are brilliant.
Yeah, but your answers our questions are simple, but your answers are awesome. So this was somebody's question, not to give and take with sinful souls. That's Baba's statement. What does that mean? Not to give and take with sinful souls.
I'll give you a practical example. A person who had worked hard all his life, and now his daughter wants to get married, and he's very much in the Indian middle class mode of giving daughter a trousseau and dowry and all of that. And it's big time. It's not just, a few saris, here you are. It's big. And yet this person said to his daughter, when she told him that this is the person she wants to marry, and he first said, when the man asked him, can I marry your daughter? Is the girl is from an Indian background, the man was from a European background. And the father said to him, well, I don't want my daughter to say in a year's time or 2 years' time that she doesn't love you or you don't love her and you want to get somebody else. And the husband said, well, the boy said, what would you like me to do to prove that I really love your daughter and she loves me? And the father said, I want you to wait 4 years. And that was the first shock. But the boy and girl looked at each other, and the girl loved her father, even though he was very principled in certain ways. And she said, I don't mind waiting. And so the boy also said, I don't mind waiting. And so they waited 4 years. And meanwhile, he told the girl, I've given you a good education. I don't want my money to go for a marriage and a reception where it's going to be alcohol and all of these things. You've started working, you save, and 4 years is anyway enough time. You pay for your own wedding. And she agreed, and no problems, no quarrels, no conflict. She just knew from her heart that her father was so dedicated to Baba, and he wasn't going to spend money on a wedding and all the frills of all of that. And so it's his daughter, but he understands that his money should not go in alcohol or anything to do with a wedding celebration. And so he protects himself and he protects the money. And sure, the money has come to Baba. So that's one practical example. What is my money going to be used for? People come to India and they feel sorry for the beggars. And yes, I'm sure that in some cases it's genuine, but in many, many cases it's not. You give them money, they go spend it on alcohol or cigarettes, and you're the person who gave them the means to do that. Give them food, give them a blanket if it's cold and they need it, but don't give them money that you don't know what they're going to do with. So these are two examples. Somebody I know, it's a country where on the Sabbath day, the beggars come out on the streets and you have to give them something. And what he does is keep packets of biscuits in his car on that day. And so when he stops at a traffic light, the beggar knocks, and he gives them a packet of biscuits. He doesn't give them money. And they don't like it. But his conscience is clear that I didn't turn away somebody. I've given them something. But it's not something that would be used in a wrong way.
Mm. And there's the other example where I was serving, where the woman is in Gyan, the sister's in Gyan, but the husband isn't. And so she would say, if you want money for a hamburger, you get it from your father. If you want it for some school supplies or clothes or something, take it from me. So I think there's a way, right, to work around that.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I don't know how much you want to elaborate on this next question, but there has been discussion here about it. And that is, Jenben, can you explain as clearly as you can what happens when a soul leaves a body to when it takes the next body? Because we've heard that the soul cannot hear anything, the soul cannot feel anything. And then what is this thing with 13 days sitting up in the subtle region? Is it the soul goes quickly or it sits up there? So that kind of explanation.
The classic situation, and there are exceptions to that, but the classic situation is where the soul leaves the body and instantly enters a mother's womb where there's a fetus that's ready for it. And the soul then has its time for however many months to reflect and speak to God and try and amend for whatever it is, or have promises for what it's going to do in the future. That's what's happening there. The 13-day period is a period of grieving, mourning, and in some traditions, they even have ceremonies that last for a month. I'm in contact with somebody who's from the Sikh religion, and she recently lost her father. And she's telling me that it's a month of ceremonies. And what's happening through that period is the family that's bereaved, they need spiritual strength and power. And so the ceremonies that they have, whether it's feeding the Brahmin Pandit or whether it's scripture readings or meditations, different things according to different traditions, but ceremonies for a period of time help the grieving family so that they understand the whole thing about the sanctity of the departure of the soul and the invocation of the baby, the new child. And so they're learning to come to terms with their new reality of having lost a person from their family. That person is leaving a big gap, whether it's a child or whether it's a parent. Somebody goes out of the family suddenly, and it's a big gap that's felt, even if it's not suddenly, even if it's expected, but there is a gap that's left. And the prayers and the ceremonies are meant to be able to deal with that so that the bereavement isn't time for just grieving, but it's also a time for repairing, coming to terms with this new reality. So it's not that the soul stays 13 days up there somewhere, but the soul is, of course, still very much linked with the old family. It's now linked with the mother, and then later it'll be linked with the family, not so much at the present moment, but definitely with the mother. But the soul is very susceptible to vibrations. And so the soul is receiving those vibrations, either of love in God's remembrance, which is why we say, don't just remember the soul, remember the soul, but bring Baba into the picture so that Baba's light can reach the soul. So if we're actually having meditation, then those good vibrations support the soul and give it comfort and allow it to feel more easily God's presence. Maybe the soul is a believer, maybe not a believer, but the prayers of the family are definitely going to help and support the soul in its journey. And so it's protection so that there's no other vibrations reaching the soul, no other vibrations reaching the family either. The bond of attachment doesn't finish simply because the body has finished. We know that. And so to help the bond break more comfortably, more easily, the soul has several months and the family has a period of time, whether it's 13 days or a month of ceremonies, whatever it is. But it's not sitting up there somewhere. In some specific cases, the negative side, where there's been a tragic accident, maybe a car accident, maybe a violent accident through something that's happened, that soul is in danger of not having a body that's ready for it. It's a sudden death that wasn't expected. And in that case, you need more prayer, more awareness to be able to support that soul so that it reaches its destination comfortably. Otherwise, it can be a time when the soul is wandering, and that's not healthy because it's not protected from anything in that condition. It's absorbing whatever is going on. Imagine what the situation must be where there's a war going on and there's several things happening in the world currently, and souls have departed, hundreds of them, thousands of them. And so before they actually land in their location of their new birth, some of them might be wandering. And so meditation, prayer by the family for that soul is very important. Okay?
So, gentlemen, I know time is going. I went to visit my nephew's baby today. He's about 3 months old, very cute, lovely. And it got me thinking that, okay, the fetus is waiting and the fetus is being developed, and then is it the fetus waiting for the soul, or is it the soul waiting for the fetus? And isn't every death like a sudden death? Like when you say somebody dies tragically, isn't even a heart attack in a sense tragic? There's no time or date to anyone's death.
When there's untimely death, it usually refers to a situation where before you've completed what is the normal lifespan. The normal lifespan would be 70 years. That would be the classical biblical one. But even in Bharat, they would say, yes, 70 used to be a ripe age to go. And now they say 70 is like middle age. And so parameters have changed. But I'll give you another example. Sister Hansa, who's done service in the kitchen for 40 years here in London. Over the last 2 months, she's been ill. But now the doctor said, call her family, her Lokik family, and some of them have come. More might be coming from America, from France, different places, wherever they are. And she's had a good life. She's nearly 80, I think. Maybe she's over 80. I haven't checked. But she's in that sort of range, nearly 80 or just beyond. And so it's expected that she will be leaving. And then when she goes, we don't know the time and date. And the doctor said, call family, I think, on Friday, Thursday or Friday. And so Friday, I went to see her. And then again, I went to see her yesterday. She's still around. So at some point, we know that she's going to go. So that wouldn't be called untimely death. Sudden death, untimely death would be by violence. It would be a car accident. It would be a terrorist attack. It would be murder. It would be a war situation, some of those things. So there's a difference. Yeah.
Okay, and our time is up, and I know we have a few extra questions, but I'm sorry, not able to ask those to Sister Jayanti. But gentlemen, any update on Bridge Mohan Bhai? And then we can close.
Yeah.
Discussion.
The latest is that he's doing well. I think that critical time immediately after the procedure, when things had to settle, we weren't quite sure how they were settling, but it seems that he's been able to go through that. I think he still has a big role to play in the yajna. He's taken on the responsibility of being the Executive Secretary General of the yajna, which he took on when Nirbhai passed away in September earlier this year. And so I think that Baba wants to keep him around for a while, and everybody's yoga power, definitely, because the people doing the procedure, the surgeon who is handling everything, you can imagine that God's light and love and might have guided him. Everybody was having yoga at that time, the world. And so I'm sure that also helped.
Yeah, and Asha Didi was sharing that it was by chance that he happened to be there nearby. Otherwise, that doctor is not normally in Ahmedabad. So anyway, many miracles.
He came from Delhi. He came from Delhi.
Anyway,
It was 10 o'clock at night. So maybe he used to be somewhere else, but he was able to come.
she was mentioning, yeah, some miracle stories were happening around Bridge Mohan Bhai. Yeah. So anyway, we wish you a lovely trip to Madhuban. I'm sure all of us will see you there, whoever is going.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Thank you, everyone. No revision for the next few months. You can hear Jayanti Ben's revision from Bharat. And yeah, happy Madhuban. Om Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Aruna Ben, for getting all this together. Om Shanti.
Nothing to seek, Nothing to gain, nothing to know, nothing to lose, nothing to do but let go. Let's rest here, where the future and the past disappear. Here, in the sanctity of now. Nothing to prove, nothing to own, no one to be, nowhere to move, already home, already free. Let's just stay in the cave of the heart today and bask in this ever-present love. Nothing to fear.